Good evening. This is Making the Case. I'm Yodit Tewolde. During his campaign, President Biden talked a lot about ending mass incarceration, but news out this week has some questioning the sincerity of that commitment. The Biden administration has decided that more than 4,000 people released from prison to home confinement due to COVID will have to return 1 month after the pandemic state of emergency ends. In doing so, the administration is choosing not to rescind an order put in place by the Trump administration. Biden could use his clemency power to commute the sentences of the people who have been released, but his spokespeople have suggested he is reluctant to do that. In the alternative, Congress could enact a law that would give the Justice Department authority to extend their home confinement beyond the pandemic. When asked for comment, the White House would only say the president is committed to reducing incarceration and helping people to re-enter society. Again, saying he's committed but not showing it. Earlier this summer, the story of Gwen Levi captivated the country. Gwen was one of 4,000 people convicted of non-violent crimes who were released from prison due to the COVID pandemic. A missed phone call meant Gwen violated the terms of her release and she was on her way back to prison. But after a national outcry, a judge released Gwen from jail and reduced her sentence to time served. But there are so many others in Gwen's predicament who now face the possibility of going back to prison. I had the chance to speak with Gwen and her son Craig about how she feels to be back home and why she believes President Biden needs to keep everyone who has been released home.
When my attorney told me the things that were happening, the internet, I was just trying to learn how to use the internet to think that it would become my advocator. Oof. It's just amazing. I'm amazed.
How did it make you feel?
Like I said, more so than anything else, humbled and just grateful that there are people who understand that we're trying to come back into society. We're trying to do the right thing, and to have us get sent back like this is just, it's hurtful. I have a 94-year-old mother. It's hurtful to have she wasn't even home when I had to turn myself in.
Now, Gwen,
yeah,
you've been through so much, but I want to take the viewers back to last year. You were one of thousands of incarcerated people in federal prisons released during the pandemic to serve your sentence in home confinement. How did you feel knowing you were going home finally?
Like that's and the pandemic. Mm-hmm. That would opportunity, me and thousands of others, an opportunity to show that we had been transformed. We had been rehabilitated. We had did what the prison system said it was supposed to do, and that's allowed us to rehabilitate ourselves, to change, to become better people, and that the prison system recognized that and said, okay, we don't want to endanger you. You're doing the right thing, so we're going to let you go home.
Now, tell us how you, Gwen, tell us how you spent your time while in home confinement. I know you were doing quite a bit in your community, especially helping other incarcerated and formerly incarcerated women. Tell us what you were doing.
While I was inside, let me say that first. While I was inside, there were several organizations that kept me encouraged, that kept me informed, and kept me encouraged. And when I came home, those are the people that I reconnected to, the people who had connected to me while I was inside, the people who gave me support. So the National Council of Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls, Family for a Minimum, Maryland Justice Project, Maryland Cure, those organizations really, when I came home, gave me an opportunity to volunteer. And I did. Mm-hmm. And we worked on projects like lobbying for new bills in Maryland, a bill that would help the lifers get the parole and get the second chances they deserve. Juvenile Justice Restoration Act. We lobbied for those bills and got them passed in the federal system. It was like just connecting the people, letting them be able to know that they were here advocating on their behalf. Working with young people.
Yeah.
I was able to go into an organization, Maryland Justice Project, that worked with young people
Gwen,
and gave them access to community service hours.
Gwen, I know you were taking a computer course. Can you tell me why you were doing that? This is how this whole ordeal even started in terms of you going back to jail. But what were you taking the course for?
Well, for one reason, I had taken a contact tracing course at Johns Hopkins University, and I passed the course, and I got a job. They offered me a job. But when I went to the job, I couldn't do the job because I didn't have the necessary computer skills. And even though they wanted to try to keep me, I knew that it was just too much for me. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the skills necessary to do the job. So after 2 days, I left. But I began searching for places where I might get some computer skills. I asked the halfway house that I was in, and they told me I couldn't come and use their computers. So I said, well, I'd find a way. Like I said, one of the organizations that I volunteer with said that they would form a class, they would develop a computer training class, and they did, and I started in that class. I sent in the necessary paperwork. It was a 5-week class. The paperwork said 5 weeks. It was put on my schedule, and so that's how I got into the computer class. I really needed the skills. I really needed to learn some skills.
And which is why it's a shame that your parole officer believed that was a parole violation. Craig, let me bring you in. What does it mean to have your mom back home, and were you optimistic that she'd be back?
I was very optimistic. I guess in the beginning I was kind of meh, but from the outpour of the support and the people from the different organizations, the phone calls, the lawyer, Miss Sapner, just reassured me that the fight isn't over. It's not over. We're going to continue to fight, and she's going to be okay. And it was a light at the end of the tunnel.
Gwen, I want to end our discussion with you. Your sentence was reduced to time served plus 5 years of probation, but you'll be able to ask for termination of that supervision after a year. Can you speak about how the parole and probation system works to set people up like you for failure rather than to help them reintegrate back into society?
Well, it wasn't so much the parole system as the home confinement. To have that threat of being able to come home, you've proven your worth, they've assessed you, they've said that you were not in society, you can come home. So you come home and you're looking for your future, you're looking towards a future, you're starting to make a future, you're doing things. And to have that threat of a simple little technicality send you back to prison. And it's not just happening to me. There are hundreds of other people who got out the same way I did on this home confinement, and they've been sent back on technicalities, and that's the irony of it. That's the sad part. Who and what is that serving? What purpose to send these people back who we're only trying to show that, yes, prison works. It transformed us. It allows us to change our ways. It allows us to become productive citizens, to be able to come out and provide it for our community and our family. And you say, no, send them back? There's a memo, a Justice Department memo that says that if the pandemic ends, we ought to all those people that they got out of home confinement ought to be returned back. What?
Gwen, if you had the opportunity to talk to President Joe Biden, what would you want to tell him about that memo?
Resend it. Resend it. give the people who are an opportunity to show that they're worthy of the compassionate release, clemency, or at least to stay out until their sentence is over. You know, not to have that threat over their head that once the pandemic, what do you want us to say? I'm hoping the pandemic lasts so I can stay home? No,
Right.
that's not right.
Well, Gwen, we're definitely happy to have you back home. We're supporting you, rooting for you and your family, and we'll be keeping an eye on what's next for you in your future. Gwen Levi and her son, Craig, thanks again for spending your evening with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next on Making the Case, we speak with the director of the ACLU's Justice Division about their campaign to keep the 4,000 people released from prisons home. And later in the show, criminal defense attorney Gerald Griggs joins us to discuss new developments in the Rayshard Brooks and Ahmaud Arbery cases.